Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Cocaine is found in the West Wing of the White House. The trial of the coward from Broward wraps up in Florida, and the 4th of July brought more than just fireworks as violence erupts all over the nation. These stories and more are coming at you today, Friday, July 7th, on Real Life Real Crime Daily, and I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agovino. Hey, guys.
Hello.
What's up?
We're back.
Good to be back. Everybody rested?
Everybody's alive, tan, rested, and ready.
Well, I see the tan part.
Yeah.
I see a lot of eyes across the room.
Yeah,
I think that more than our fair
chronic
share
dry.
of alcohol may have been consumed over the break. What was the most fun thing that you guys did over the break?
I got to do some good fishing, even though it was so hot, but sitting in the river, drinking beverages and watching the fireworks is pretty great.
That's really weird, Woody, because my favorite part was drinking as well. I was sitting inside of a casino drinking.
Right.
Drinking and trying to give me shit. His two favorite things over the holidays.
The fans were like, do they not get along? And they were like worried about y'all.
Oh, no, we're good.
We are available for a cage match. I mean, if the Zuckerberg Musk thing falls through, there's always Jim versus Mike.
That would be funny as fuck.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Can I tell you my favorite discovery over the holiday?
Yes.
This is going to make me look so lame that I found time to watch both of these movies. But my new favorite badass is Chris Hemsworth. The Extraction movies. Have you watched these movies?
I think I saw one of
In
them
the
a long time ago.
first one, he kills 183 people.
That sounds like Fourth of July weekend.
It took John Wick 309.
Right.
It took him 3 movies to tally 309. Yeah. This guy got 183 in his first movie. I haven't seen a listed tally for Extraction 2 yet. I don't know if they would have purposely made it more than. It rivals the first. It takes a little while. We're like 8 minutes in, and he hasn't killed anybody yet. And I'm turning to my son, going, "What the f's going on?" And then all of a sudden, it just comes in a barrage. He's probably got 350 in those 2 movies. So if you're into those kind of movies, I mean, I've moved him all the way up my ranker to number 1 badass in a.
That's almost as high as the body count over the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah.
That is true, and we will talk about that a little bit.
All right. So a Louisiana jail trustee is on the run after taking an unmarked, decommissioned sheriff's truck. So the man was serving time on child porn charges. He escaped the Iberville Parish Jail early on Monday and drove in a decommissioned, unmarked sheriff's unit. Timothy Billiot, 55, appears to have left the jail around 6 a.m., and the sheriff, Brett Stassi, said when asked about the escape, Billiot, who is from the Morgan City area, is a state prison inmate and trustee at that jail.
Yeah, so he's there on the work program.
So this unmarked unit, it is a truck that has a spare and no emergency lights. They were given a great description. Obviously, if this guy escaped in it, you want to be able to spot it. They shared the license plate number and all that. And state records indicated that Billiot is serving 7 years after being convicted of possession of child pornography. 7 years. So it's not someone you want out on the street, obviously.
Did it say what day he escaped?
He actually escaped on Monday evening.
Right. Let me tell you this real quick and interrupt you real quick. And I'll never forget it, but every 4th of July weekend, like we had one in LP, we'd bring in our units and where the trustees could wash them behind lock Sally Ford gate, and we'd leave them running because you had all the computers and shit in, and it was hot. And I won't say who it was. It was my good buddy. I was sitting in the radio room, and he came in and he said, bruh, because we were always playing tricks on each other, like hiding in each other's units and stuff like that. He said, where'd you put my unit? I said, I didn't put your unit anywhere. He said, no, man, quit effing with me. Where'd you put it? I said, bro, I didn't do it. And he ended up, the trustee said, hey, it's 4th of July. And he left the car running. He was Washington. He decided he wanted to go party for the 4th of July. So he got the car and honked the horn at the gate, and they opened it, and he ended up crashing the mark unit.
Oh, my God.
Wait, he honks so they open the gate?
Yeah. Well, they can't see in because there's a tent on the window.
Oh, okay.
So,
That's good security at the gate.
Maybe Billy Ott was a friend of his, but the sheriff did say when he's caught, he'll be charged with simple escape and theft of a motor vehicle.
Shit's a simple escape's 10 years.
Yeah. Well, we got some breaking news. He did get caught. He's now in custody, and according to the Iberville Parish Sheriff's Office, he was just arrested by the St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Office.
He was down the road a bit.
Deputies said they saw the stolen vehicle in St. Mary Parish. Billy Ott jumped out of the truck, ran into the nearby woods, and deputies provided chase and arrested him.
Well, good. That's good. But shout out real quick to Brett Stassi in Iberville. I got a lot of great friends over there, Brad Trull and a bunch of them. Those are great guys. These things are going to happen. It's unfortunate, but where there's a will, there's a way.
Well, where did that guy think he was going?
No, they don't think. It's not like it's not like he had $1 billion.
He saw opportunity.
Yeah, he didn't have $500 million in the bank. He's getting a Belize or something. Yeah.
And the crazy thing, this is a guy that's obviously a pedophile. Who to me, that's the same as a serial killer. You never want him out of your jails. But we're going to share the mugshot of this guy on the Facebook page. He's got a little smart smirk on his face.
He's a beauty.
And he's a POS. Wow. But thankfully, he is now back in jail.
Yes, good job, fellas. St. Mary. So let me take you to another story out of Florida, y'all. A Florida woman had enough of the noisy next door neighbor's kids, y'all, and the woman once branded a psycho by a responding deputy after repeatedly calling the cops to complain about her neighbor's kids, decided to take matters in her own hands. The newly released body cam footage displays numerous incidents where Susan Lorenz, 58, called the police on 25-year-old Aki Owen over local children playing near her rental apartment in Ocala, Florida. Lorenz is now facing manslaughter charges for fatally blasting Owens after the spiraling feud reached its height. Critics have argued that the crime is deserving of a murder rap, asserting that Owens was unarmed. When they come on the side here, I just can't hear my clients, the insurance broker told responding deputies after calling 911 back in February. That's not fair to me. Lorenz accused Owens of throwing a no trespassing sign at her after she yelled at a group of kids to leave the area. The former New Jersey resident claimed that the children were trespassing and causing a ruckus, but deputies later told her the area was not her property. In another video, an exasperated deputy can be heard privately calling her a psycho after another 911 called her home. And y'all, I've dealt with this same type of person. In an August video, Lorenz told deputies that the children constantly mock and curse at her. Cops said she called 911 roughly a dozen times over the year preceding the shooting. I don't want to be intimidated by them calling me a bitch, calling me Karen, Lorenz can be heard saying. Depraved mind requires evidence of hatred, spite, ill will, or evil intent toward the victim at the time of the killing. As deplorable as the defendant's actions were in the case, there is insufficient evidence to prove this specific and required element of second-degree murder. And then, of course, our good friend Ben Crump comes in, the family attorney. He said the decision not to upgrade the charge last week. He said that's why people are so outraged when they think about the fact that a person can shoot somebody through a locked metal door after calling their children racial epithets and not to be charged with murder. I don't know how he doesn't get charged with murder.
I was going to say that's
It's
the
probably
one
gonna
time.
it's probably going to go to the grand jury.
It's the one time in my life I think I've agreed with Ben Crump or whatever his name is. That woman was a complete freaking whack job.
Yeah. Look, we had our freaking flowers like that. I mean, like this one lady, I haven't told the story yet. Or like the one on Buttercup, she wanted me to get semen out of her horse. That she thought her horse had been raped. Yeah, you should go listen to Real Life Real Crime, Mike. And but another one, this one lady, she called like every single weekend, and she answered the door one time dressed in nothing but her birthday suit and covered from head to toe in flour.
Yep.
It just was going to have a conversation. It takes all kinds to make the world go.
I only do that on Saturdays.
Yeah, right. On bacon days.
Yeah.
Well, I actually watched some of that body cam footage of that lady.
That's
and
crazy.
she was ready to snap.
Right.
And, the next door family, they had little kids, and those little kids would go in that side yard and make a bunch of noise where that woman put her office. I mean, move your freaking office, do something other than let it get you to a boiling point where you're ready to do that.
Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
Hey, y'all, changing my wardrobe from summer to fall, it's never easy. Luckily, Quince offers timeless and high-quality items I adore. Ensure my wardrobe stays fresh and I don't blow my budget. And there's nothing easier than going to Quince and choosing these high-quality items, like cashmere sweaters from $50, pants for every occasion, washable silk tops, and so much more. The best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes, and I love that. I got the stainless steel Link Apple Watch band for $59.90. It's heavy duty, it's awesome, and it's like $100 less than I could find anywhere else. And I also got a 100% organic cotton fisherman quarter zip up sweater. The color is alabaster. Man, I can't wait to wear that this fall. And Cindy got the Mongolian cashmere boat neck sweater in heather gray. And I'm telling you, these are classic pieces at a fraction of the price. Make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/RLRC for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/RLRC to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/RLRC. You'll thank me later. Tell somebody.
Anyway, let's talk about 4th of July fireworks, and not the kind you set off.
Told y'all, like on duty on the 4th remaster we dropped last week, it's the worst day to work the street as a cop.
Well, and when it falls where it fell on a Tuesday, you've got this really from last Friday, maybe even Thursday.
Right, everybody
you got
partying.
Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, and then you have 5 nights of
you add in the temperature is over 100 degrees, and then you add in the full moon, and people think that's a myth. It's the truth.
Well,
you add in those two, bodies are going.
And July 4th was supposedly the hottest day in the United States in over like 100 years.
I didn't know that. What I read this morning was the hottest day ever on record since they started keeping records in the world,
which is like 100 years. Yeah. So so I guess we had a kind of a perfect storm of stuff here. But, yes, it's our annual celebration of the birthplace of freedom and the home of the red, white, and blue. And what celebration of our nation's birth would be complete without a bunch of senseless murders and shootings? And this July 4th did not disappoint. First up, the capital of our country, Washington, D.C. 9 people were shot and wounded, including 2 juveniles, early Wednesday in Washington, D.C. Shortly before 1 a.m., police responded to a report of a shooting on Meade Street in the northeastern quadrant of the Capitol. Upon the arrival, officers discovered multiple shooting victims, including a 9-year-old and 17-year-old. A dark-colored SUV seen driven through the neighborhood stopped and then shot at the victims outside enjoying the 4th of July holiday in what police described as a targeted shooting. All of the victims suffered non-life-threatening injuries, thankfully. Get on the interstate, travel up I-95 a little bit to Baltimore, where a block party turned into a Glock party. 30 people were shot, 2 fatally at this Baltimore block party. That was early on Sunday.
At one party, 30 people. One party. That's not the whole city. That's one party.
Get back on I-95 and go a little further up the interstate, and one runs into my favorite city, the city of brotherly love, where showing love for your brother now requires a bulletproof vest. On Monday night, a suspect in a bulletproof vest opened fire in Philadelphia, killing 5 people, wounding 2 boys aged 2 and 13 before surrendering to responding police officers. This story was all over the media. It was the number 1 story in the country until they discovered that the shooter was a transgender, and then it miraculously evaporated, and we'll get the whole story here about the same time we get the Nashville Shooters Manifesto, I guess. Now let's travel a little bit westward, and in Shreveport, Louisiana, 4 victims were killed and 7 others shot but survived at another block party turned Glock party in Shreveport, Louisiana. Down in the great state of Texas, it's all these neighborhood celebrations, man. A little neighborhood within Fort Worth called Como, which I was not familiar with, has an annual festival called Como Fest, and there 3 people were killed and 8 others injured when several men fired indiscriminately into a crowd of hundreds that had gathered there for Como Fest. And down in Florida, a 7-year-old child was killed in a shooting during an altercation between 2 groups gathered for July 4th celebrations along a causeway that crosses Tampa Bay. So this one wasn't at a party. They were having their fun shooting at each other on a causeway. So we're waiting. They tally these things, and the 22 number was a pretty big number. So I don't know if 23 is going to surpass that, but it might. So we will report back when we get the final body bag tally on the holiday. But unfortunately, some people are going to need some autopsies and some people who are going to need some funerals. And I'm going to make an awkward segue and tell you that if you are in this part of the country and you travel just outside of Lafayette to the town of Broussard, to where that big American flag is, you will find our friends at Louisiana Funeral Services, who, when you have to make those unfortunate decisions and rely on somebody to provide honest, fair service at a fair price, you can go to our friends at Louisiana Funeral Services.
That's right. It's the only place in Louisiana that you can facilitate an autopsy, you can embalm, you can cremate, or even cremate your pet, all under one roof. There is only one privately owned facility that offers autopsy services in the state of Louisiana, and that is Parish Forensics, serving Louisiana since 2007, y'all. Louisiana Funeral Services and Crematory is a full-service funeral home with 2 on-site crematories. They serve families with aftercare needs and fellow funeral homes with third-party embalming and cremation services since 2015. Louisiana Pet Crematory is locally owned and operated by funeral home professionals. They provide families and veterinarians alike with dignified, private, and communal cremation services. With extensive urn and keepsake selections, Louisiana Pet Crematory has been servicing South Louisiana with creative pet memorial merchandising even since 2019. Those beautiful urns that you see some of these pets buried, cremated in. Located in Broussard, right outside of Lafayette, as Mike told you, under that big American flag.
Y'all, it's Roy, Provost, and the 2 Christians, so give them a call. If you're a resident of Louisiana, you can call them today at 1-800-CREMATE. That's 1-800-273-6283, or 1-800-FUNERAL. That's 1-800-386-3725. You can follow them on Facebook, Instagram for the latest memorial products and offerings and more. That's Parish Forensics, Louisiana Funeral Home and Crematory, and Louisiana Pet Crematory of Broussard, Louisiana. And y'all know what their tagline is.
Rest easy.
All right. So a jury has acquitted a deputy who failed to confront the Parkland shooting gunman. And we talked about this in a past episode. So we'll catch y'all up. For those of you that may not be aware, a former Florida sheriff's deputy who failed to confront the gunman at a Parkland high school 5 years ago and instead backed away from the building while the students and teachers inside endured a deadly barrage was found not guilty of child neglect and other crimes. Scott Peterson, who is a former Broward County Sheriff's deputy, was acquitted of 7 counts of child neglect and 3 counts of culpable negligence for the deaths and injuries of 10 people on the 3rd floor of the building where the shooting occurred. He was also found not guilty of 1 count of perjury for claiming to the police that he had only heard a few gunshots and saw no children fleeing. Now, Mr. Peterson's behavior was revealed after the shooting via surveillance footage that was surrounding that school.
Like a bitch.
Yeah, that's right. They painted him, even fellow police officers, of course, the victim's parents, and many others painted him as being too scared to face a heavily armed gunman. His actions outraged the community, and Mr. Peterson was cast as the central character in a morality tale about the cowardness and law enforcement's duty to protect children. One victim's father in particular told him to rot in hell, and he was derided in the national media outlets as the coward from Broward. 17 people were killed. 17 were wounded in that shooting, which was carried out by a former student, and the gunman was sentenced last year to life in prison. The trial was believed to be the first in the nation against a police officer for an action during a mass shooting, and a conviction might have paved way for prosecutors to pursue charges against other law enforcement officers over their response to mass shootings. If you all will remember, Uvalde in Texas, where they were being investigated because the officers waited more than an hour before entering 2 classrooms at Robb Elementary School during May of 2022 in a shooting which 21 people were killed. Definitely that body count would have been less had they responded quicker.
Right.
Because they charged Mr. Peterson with child neglect, which is an unusual legal approach, they had to persuade jurors that the former deputy was a caregiver responsible for the welfare of students, a designation not typically applied to police officers. Even the judge was skeptical from the bench at the argument that the former deputy's inaction could be said to have caused harm. The jury, they only deliberated for about 19 hours over 4 days after a 2.5-week trial, and they found that prosecutors did not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Peterson should be considered someone responsible for a child's welfare. Peterson was the only person other than the gunman to be charged in the shooting, and if convicted, he would have faced a maximum sentence of 96 years and a loss of his $104,000 a year pension. The biggest argument to this entire case was that he arrived outside of a building about 2.5 minutes after the shooting began. He backed away. He remained in an alcove of a stairway of an adjacent building for about 4 minutes while the shooting was going on. And for more than 40 minutes after that, long after the gunman ran from the building and other police officers rushed in. Police officers, they were once trained as SWAT team to wait for the SWAT teams to confront mass shooters, but that changed in 1999 after Columbine, which I'm sure everybody's familiar with. The head of the training unit for the Broward County Sheriff's Office testified that Mr. Peterson had been trained to confront the gunman even without police backup to stop the killing. Peterson told investigators he had not been sure where the gunfire was coming from or how many shooters there were. He called a code red to lock down the school and did the best he could under stressful conditions and with limited information and poor radios. So that was kind of his defense to that. My question to this entire thing, and I know, Woody, that you've talked about this many times, people don't know how they're going to react until they're placed in a situation. You have the 3 Fs, fight, flight, or freeze. As much as you want to say, that this guy needs to rot in jail the rest of his life, there's another side that says if your body has an involuntary reaction to that stress, should you be held culpable for that?
You damn sure should be a cop. But unfortunately, those people slipped through. Evidently had an attorney who wasn't a hooey attorney, and it's never been tried before. It's not going to bring these victims back, but I remember when we trained, when we swapped the training from calling for the SWAT team, which I was on, in the hostage negotiator, to going to this training, doing the live training where you ran into school, there's an active shooter, and they were shooting you with the munitions and stuff, and everybody trained on it, so he evidently didn't revert back to his training. I don't care what they say. To me, he hid like a little bitch, maybe not going at him for being a child caregiver, which I don't understand how that is if you're an SRO or whatever. But I don't know. Hearts go out to the victims. I hate it. At least he had to go through a trial.
Yeah, it seemed like maybe there was some different charge they could have come up with. But the defense of I didn't know where the gunfire was coming from. Well, what did you do to try to ascertain where it was coming from?
You're supposed to run to the sound. You're trained to run to the sound of the gunfire to eliminate the threat.
Right, because apparently at that time, the shooter had gone from the first floor to the third floor.
Well, we could still see him backing up and hiding like a bitch. So
correct. And the last thing on that point, 2 coaches did run into that building. They heard where the gunfire was coming from, and they were unarmed, and they ran into that building to go attempt to save children.
Props for the DA for at least having the balls to try it.
Well, look, and no matter what, that guy
he's never going to work.
He's retired anyway and gone to North Carolina or something.
He's got to live. He's not living in Broward County.
He's got to live every day the rest of his life.
He's living
with what he did and didn't do, and
that's right.
That's going to be pretty painful for him.
Yeah. Well, anyway, hearts go out to the victims of all of these shootings. Take you to Mike's favorite town, Philly, 2 men are in custody after a mass shooting in the Kensington section of Southwest Philly Monday evening that left 5 people dead and 2 others injured, both of whom are children. Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw said the suspected gunman, a 40-year-old man, was arrested without incident. He was allegedly, we'll take out allegedly, he was wearing a ballistic vest, had multiple magazines, an AR-type rifle, a handgun, and a police scanner during the shooting rampage, which began at approximately 8:30 p.m. Several children were among those wounded, including a 2-year-old and a 13-year-old. Fortunately, they survived. The deceased victims were all men between the ages of 20 and 59. Deceased victims include Lashid Merritt, Demir Stanton, Ralph Morales, Dewan Brown, and Joseph Wama Jr. And the 2 survivors are being treated for serious wounds as well, with the 2-year-old suffering 4 gunshot wounds to the legs and a 13-year-old 2 gunshot wounds to the legs. 2 other people were also wounded by exploding glass at the scene, including another 2-year-old and a 33-year-old. Police have not released the names of any of the survivors. According to local media, the gunman continued firing as officers chased him and eventually cornered him in a back alley on Fraser Street. He was then taken into custody without officers firing back because he went out like a little bitch. A motive is not yet known. They said, "We have absolutely no idea why this happened," Outlaw said. "At this point, all we know is that the person left their home and decided to target individuals." Outlaw added, "Thank God our officers were on the scene. They responded as quickly as they did. I can't even describe the level of bravery and courage that was shown in addition to the restraint by not killing them when they absolutely could have. Catch them in the alley? Yeah, right. Officers responded to reports of an armed man in the area of South 56th Street and Chester Avenue, but the gunman fled into the neighboring streets. The suspect was not identified.
This is the shooting I alluded to quickly when I went through all of them. Yeah. And this is the guy that they found was the transgender guy afterward.
Whatever. It doesn't matter if he's transgender or not transgender. He showed up with guns and everything else and killed people. He's an asshole. Absolutely nothing to do with how they relate to sexually or whatever. They showed up in a bulletproof vest, loaded to the gills, but they were a little bitch. And when they get cornered in an alleyway, they should have done the only honorable thing at that point, which is let the cops kill them. So, sorry, those people pissed me off.
There you have it. You know, they found a bag of cocaine in the White House on Sunday.
Shit. I cannot believe that.
How did they know it was cocaine? Did they smell it?
No, they no. They actually called in like the bomb squad and shit, or like they thought it might be anthrax or something. They cordoned off all the area and everything. I know Mike's going to read it to you, but I read this. I'm like, what the fuck? Now we don't usually do political, but this one has to be told. So you are sanctioned to tell this story, but please leave out any of your left-wing bullshit.
My left-wing bullshit?
Left wing, right wing, whatever. Agovino bullshit.
My West Wing bullshit, maybe. But here's the thing. This is stupid. I mean, nobody's more pissed off than Hunter that he had to go the whole weekend without his bag of coke. You know, I mean, so it's not even worth telling, really, that story. Because everybody knows what's going to happen.
In the White House that's owned by us, they have cocaine. That's the problem.
Maybe that's why it's named the White House.
But it could have been a visitor. That, who knows? But
somebody got cocaine, had balls enough to bring it in. They're thinking they're untouchable.
Okay, but guys, instead, it's the long-awaited, backed by popular demand, second installment of the stuff I'm not allowed to report. Yes, Jim, take your anaconda out of your hand, zip your fly back up, and prepare to soak up some knowledge. I'd like to tell Woody's being quiet so far. He's contemplating. Is he angry? Is he, why the fuck is Mike doing this? I promised I would, Woody.
We'll just start.
I'd like to tell you about Olivia Krolchak, a student at the University of Cincinnati who received a grade of 0. Yes, zero zip nada on her final project proposal in her gender and pop culture class.
Has nothing to do with true crime. But
Her
go ahead.
professor, Melanie Nipper, gave Krolchek the 0 grade because she used the term biological women in describing her
Has
feministic
nothing
topic,
to do with true
a
crime.
study of women's rights in sports. Nipper claimed she gave the student a 0 because the term biological
Real
woman
life, real
is
crime
exclusionary
daily,
and
not
reinforces
real life, real crime
heteronormativity.
society.
I'd like to tell you that Nipper received an official reprimand from the school for giving such a grade and for her reasoning and rewarding the
No
grade,
true
but I
crime
can't
fan
because I'm not allowed to
cares.
report on it. I'd like to tell you about the Supreme Court's ruling that affirmative action in college admissions violates
to do with true crime. This is a true crime show, not a society show.
Supreme Court ruling that affirmative action in
Y'all
college
look for
admissions
Ago's
violates
new
both
show coming up.
the Equal Protection
Ago's
Clause of the
Society
14th
and
Amendment
Lifestyle.
and Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The SCOTUS ruling found that both Harvard and the University of North Carolina had violated applicants' rights to make admissions decisions based upon race rather than merit. I'd like to tell you that this decision will ensure that college admissions are determined strictly by merit moving forward, but I have no idea what kind of bribes
Nothing to
Hollywood
do
actors are
with
willing
true
to pay these
crime.
days. And besides the point, I'm not allowed to report on it. I'd
Nothing
like to
to
tell
do
you the
with true
story
crime.
of former vice president and career politician who, while facing the assumed end of his political
Nothing
career
to do with
in
true
2016, decided to task his son, who is only a little bit less dependable and focused than Dory from Finding Nemo, with securing millions of dollars in political favors from foreign countries and
Nothing to
corporations.
do with true
I'd like to
crime.
tell you that you really can't blame him, since just about all of these Washington, D.C. swamp creatures have done similar. Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell. I'd like to tell you that Uncle Joe was told
That's
by
it.
everyone that pushed him into running in the 2020 race that they'd cover his ass if he ever got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. But I'd like to tell you that he
Next
loves his
story.
family, all of them
Young guy.
unconditionally, except for the exiled hillbilly grandkid Hunter got Maury Povich on in Arkansas. But regardless, I'd like to tell you the walls are caving in faster than Hunter can snort a gram of
Wait,
Parmesan
yeah.
cheese off a floor mat. But I can't because I'm not allowed to report
Hey,
it.
we're
I'd like
cutting
to
it
tell you
off.
that I have found my friend Jim.
This is bullshit.
I'd like
Start
to tell
a
you.
society show.
I'd like
It's
to
not
tell
true
you that
crime.
I
That's
found
the last
the
time.
help
Go ahead.
my friend Jim needs to overcome his penis
I'm
obsession.
next.
I'd like to tell you that I turned to AI for
yeah, you
assistance
are.
in this matter.
So,
I'd like to tell you
y'all,
that I
take
asked
you
my
to the
chat
Colorado
GPT.
River, where a migrant was caught attempting to cross the Colorado River into the U.S. using scuba gear.
I'd like to
in
tell
the
you that I
deserts
asked my
of
chat
this week.
GPT, why does Jim
Border
constantly
Patrol
talk
agents
about his
apprehended
penis
the man
and
in
always
the
want to do
unisex
stories that
on
include
Monday.
penises? I'd like to tell you chat GPT's response was, probably Jim is very proud of his penis. Most humans like bragging about things they own, no matter how inappropriate. Probably his big penis is something he thinks of as an achievement, even though it is not. That is not the case, as he did not put any effort into achieving it. Some humans with limited critical thinking abilities believe believe having a big penis makes them masculine, manly, or manlike. I'd like to tell you that I think my artificial friend hit the nail on the head here, but I can't because I'm not allowed to report on it.
Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, and all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had. Hey, ladies, Are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC.
A man was on TiK-Tok while driving moments before he crashed his truck into other cars and caused a major collision, killing 5 people. The commercial truck was going eastbound on I-10 on the off-ramp in Arizona. The open op trailer was loaded with garbage, and the Arizona Department of Public Safety said the driver failed to stop for congested traffic, rear-ending 2 passenger vehicles and wedging them into the back of a second commercial truck. The second commercial truck hit 2 other cars that were in front of it, and the 2 trucks caught fire, which spread to the 2 commercial trucks. 5 people died, and the at-fault driver suffered minor injuries. The Arizona Department of Public Safety said the driver told investigators at the time he got a message on his work tablet and acknowledged the message. Tyner said that traffic had stopped by the time he looked up, and he could not stop his vehicle to avoid the collision. Arizona state troopers reportedly believed from the start of the investigation that distracted driving played a role in the crash. And according to the Department of Public Safety in Arizona, Tyner was allegedly using the TiK-Tok application, which caused the crash. He handed his phone over to authorities. They conducted a forensic examination, which determined that to be the case. And I can tell you from traveling back from my little trip I just took, only a couple of hours away, I can't even count the amount of people I saw looking at their phones while they were driving.
Standard.
5 people killed over. Yeah. And look, TiK-Tok is a video.
Yeah. I mean,
come on, man. This is becoming a major problem.
They go back now on a lot of these fatality crashes and pull the numbers of the people in the car to see if they were actually on the phone at the time of the accident or the crash, you would call it. Yep.
Yeah, and you know, there's even apps now that you can download that will actually not allow you to use the phone. It'll send a message if someone calls saying I'm driving right now, or text or whatever.
I've seen it. Well, my truck won't allow the Bluetooth and shit to turn on if I'm already in drive.
Well, one major thing that screws up stuff, and there's no accounting for how many accidents it causes and everything else, is you're at a red light, and the guy in front of you at the red light or the woman in front of you is looking at their phone, checking email or texts or TiK-Tok or whatever. The light turns green. 5 seconds later, they haven't moved. They finally notice that the lights turn green, and so they go. But now the guy who's sixth, who would have made the light easily if they would have just gone when they were supposed to go, is now pissed off because the lights turned yellow when he comes up. He probably shouldn't go, but because he's pissed, he goes. He ends up crossing a red and maybe gets in an accident or maybe gets a ticket or whatever else. So it's not even just when they're moving, it's when they're at the traffic stops as well.
Right. I think that, and I'm certainly am guilty of it myself, but that actually happened to me this morning. That Or cut over right in. I knew I had enough time to make the green. It wasn't yellow yet, but it cut over where I had to slow down, and it puts me in the intersection when it's yellow. I don't know if he was on his phone or not, but I'm guilty of it, and I shouldn't do it as much as I do. I try not to do it, but I do it, unfortunately. Y'all, this is a pretty unique story, okay? And I'm a big scuba diver. The only tattoo I have besides my wedding ring on my wrist is a dive flag with my oldest daughter's name in it. But there was a migrant who was caught attempting to cross the Colorado River into the U.S. using scuba gear in the dead of night this week. Border Patrol agents apprehended the man in the Yuma sector on Monday. I've been there. Images show him wearing a small oxygen tank strapped over what appears to be jeans and a long-sleeve shirt. Acting Chief Patrol Agent Dustin Caudle, and back in the day, my father-in-law, who's now deceased, used to be acting chief over all, at least over all South West Texas. But Acting Chief Patrol Agent Dustin Caudle says the migrant is set to be sent back to Mexico. The migrant thought he could sneak into the U.S. by using scuba diving equipment to cross the Colorado River, but our vigilant agents sunk his plan. The migrant, a Mexican national, will be processed to return to Mexico, and the incident comes as Texas agents have discovered a series of dead bodies in the Rio Grande and Eagle Pass, which is where I was to be stationed when I was going to the Border Patrol. But that is one of the highest traffic areas for migrants. Lieutenant Chris Olivares, a spokesperson of the Texas DPS, said 2 of the bodies were pulled from the river on July 1 and on July 2 and another on July 3. The remains have yet to be identified. I'm pretty much guaranteed that's never going to happen. In the past 48 hours, the Texas DPS Tactical Marine Unit, or the TMU, recovered 4 deceased bodies, including an infant from the Rio Grande River in Eagle Pass. I don't know, y'all. Perhaps the scuba guy's on to something. Shit, if I was going to do it, actually, that's the way
I can't believe they caught him.
Well, you know how they. I'm not going to give away tactics, but they're smarter than that. You think that they hadn't thought that some assholes are going to scuba across, and because you can't be seen. Well, you can certainly be seen on infrared cameras. Your heat's not going to go away.
Wow.
You look like the Loch Ness monster coming across.
Well, that's the first I've heard of somebody. I mean, I thought that was a pretty creative, aggressive technique to try and accomplish it.
This guy should have found an area that wasn't monitored by most of those crossings. They know where it's at. Those guys are professionals, and so that not only do they have like pressure things in the ground where all along the river, and where if somebody sets foot right on the riverbank, they already get an alert, and they may have somebody in the area, they may not, but you better believe they got infrared cameras. And that's a really dangerous shit. Crossing that Colorado River is where the majority of them lose their life. Yeah, and that's where I was going to be stationed in Eagle Pass, Texas. You know what's in Eagle Pass, Texas? Nothing. That was 30 years ago, and I'm not going. But I mean, I don't even think they ever had a radio station. So.
If you're running the Eagle Pass Top 40 station, we apologize for overlooking your 30 years ago. Yeah. Let's go to New York to a pretty wild story. In May of 2022, Emily Hershowitz, police officer, filed a report to the Westchester County, New York DA's office, claiming that she was receiving anonymous threatening text messages from multiple unrecognized numbers. Hershowitz further claimed that, quote, a fellow police officer or multiple police officers at my department are involved, according to court documents. Investigators now allege that it was Hershowitz who had been sending the threatening messages to herself. She's 36 years old. She was part of the Ossining Police Department, which is a Westchester County suburb. She was charged at the Westchester District Attorney's Office last Wednesday with 4 counts of third-degree falsely reporting an incident, along with 3 counts of first-degree filing a false instrument. The latter is a felony which accuses her of filing a report with the intention of defrauding. She followed up her initial complaint from May of 22 with subsequent complaints in July and again in August. In the filing in August, she provided investigators with screen grabs from her phone showing long expletive-filled messages urging her to commit suicide and calling her a useless, dumb bitch and a reject. Police and local officials were so alarmed by what was described as the messages increasingly threatening content that they reached out asking the DA to investigate further. Hershowitz suddenly wanted to drop the complaint on August 12th, perhaps upon learning about the DA's involvement. Her concerned superiors were undeterred, however, and on August 23rd, Police Chief Kevin Sylvester called a department-wide meeting to discuss the messages. The Ossining mayor, along with other local officials, were also invited to attend. Investigators were quick to suspect Hershowitz, and by October, they issued a search warrant for her phone and digital accounts. Prosecutors said the evidence quickly indicated that Hershowitz was in charge of several of the phone numbers that the menacing messages had come from, and that she'd likely sent them to herself. Following her charges last week, she was suspended with pay. The criminal complaint noted that somebody besides Hershowitz, who was known to the DA's office, appeared to have sent 3 of the text messages, but they did not note who. Former Ossining police officer Louis Rinaldi, who resigned in the spring over separate disciplinary charges, has come up as the possible accomplice to Hershowitz. Rinaldi was reportedly brought up several times throughout the investigation of the messages, and his lawyer, Michael Santangelo, said that the former officer was the subject of an investigation. There's a lot of mystery and confusion surrounding the allegations in this case, and we'll evaluate as we learn more, said the attorney for Hershowitz. She's due to appear in a White Plains court on July 12th, but this certainly looks like Hershowitz and Rinaldi conspired here, but what exactly was their end game? So who were they trying to get in that department? He was disgruntled because he had been let go. Whatever she was disgruntled, whatever her reasons were, are still unknown at this point, and she's back in court on the 12th. But clearly there was a bigger plan that no one has figured out yet.
Maybe Munchausen syndrome or something. She wanted the attention. I don't get it. Maybe she wanted whatever, but prisons are full of dummies. I was thinking the whole time you were doing that story about the bitch must have had a bunch of burner phones or whatever. Didn't think she was going to get busted. So, whatever. I mean,
I guess
takes
we'll
all
find
kinds
out.
to make the world go around, right?
You can now take off that belt and move freely around the cabin.
It's back.
It's back. We're back for another Mile High Crime.
You gave that up for the 4th of July game where I spanked Mike Ago.
Yes.
That was unsanctioned.
Right.
It's the only game ever with 7 fucking questions.
A mid-air melee erupted in the first-class section of an Alaska-bound flight earlier this week when several people on board had to restrain a man who they suspected was in the middle of an opioid overdose. The bloody brawl began with a mysterious scream from the plane's bathroom and ended with the passenger sedated, handcuffed, and charged with multiple felonies. The passenger later blamed the ordeal on a panic attack and gummy bears containing HHC, the chemical found in cannabis similar to THC.
Yeah.
The incident allegedly unfolded on the Alaska Airlines flight from Minneapolis to Anchorage and started when a flight attendant heard a passenger screaming in the lavatory at the plane's rear. When she asked if the person inside needed help, she heard another scream, and the man punches the door open. The man, who was identified as Christian Birch, was allegedly drooling with an odor emitting from the bathroom that the attendant described as old, burnt, metallic smells.
Right. Don't they have alarms for that shit?
Birch then stumbled towards the front of the plane into the first-class section when another attendant stopped him before reaching the cockpit. When the attendant asked Birch what he was doing, Birch, who the attendant thought was twitching, said he couldn't find his seat. The attendant, fearing Birch was in the middle of a medical emergency, got him into a seat at the front of the plane, and a passenger identified as a registered nurse examined Birch and concluded he needed Narcan, which is an emergency drug administered to counter opioid overdoses. As the crew scrambled to retrieve the Narcan, Birch became combative, forcing multiple attendants to pin him down. He then resisted attempts to administer the Narcan and began to bleed from his mouth and nose. He then tried to punch and push on people and grab onto them. His blood got on several flight attendants and passengers who were restraining him, including in one passenger's mouth. Gross. A passenger assigned to watch Birch after the melee said he appeared calmer after receiving the Narcan and sedative. He didn't speak the rest of the flight, and he claimed to have been experiencing a panic attack. However, during landing, a witness saw Birch hide a piece of foil containing a white powdery substance between the plane seats, and during a later interview with authorities, he tried to hide a similar piece of foil. When he got off the plane in Anchorage, Alaska, his bag was swabbed and tested positive for both heroin and carfentanil, a potent opioid typically used to tranquilize large animals. He said he was traveling with his stepson when he stepped in the bathroom and experienced vertigo. He suggested that some of the gummy bears he got from a gas station in Minnesota may have been the cause. And he faces several charges, including interference with flight crew members and simple assault.
I'm sure the heroin is the main culprit that got rid of fentanyl. But for y'all that don't know, HHC is a psychoactive cannabinoid that's processed from original hemp plants, but they do it with hydrogen and shit. It's almost like that shit on where the guy cut the baby out of his wife's stomach.
Yeah.
That fake weed. Mojo or whatever the shit. It's almost like that, but it does originally come from the hemp plant, but they add other shit to it.
Yeah, and I would imagine that mixed with fentanyl, bad combination.
And heroin and everything else. And, well,
that's your
mile high shit.
Mile high crime for today.
Two things you don't buy at a gas
You can
station.
now take off that belt
Edibles and
move
sushi.
freely around the cabin.
You know, I've been missing this segment.
This past week,
It's been a couple of days since we've had a kinky crime.
For Friday. Y'all, here we go again. The 19-year-old Texas A&M University student was taking a topless selfie while driving and slammed into the rear of a stopped police car. Right? M was arrested. All right. The student, Miranda Rader, also had an open bottle of wine in a cup holder next to her. Not really illegal in Louisiana. The accident near the Texas A&M campus, which is about 100 miles northwest of Houston, caused the airbag to deploy. Police said that when the officer whose car had been hit approached Rader, she was trying to put on her shirt. I asked her why she was not dressed while driving, and she said that she was taking a Snapchat photo to send to her boyfriend while she was at the red light. And that was what the cop wrote in his,
what a nice
in his
girlfriend.
affidavit, right? She was just arrested on suspicion of driving while intoxicated and released on bond of $2,000.
Now, we were just talking about Snapchat.
And we're also talking about using your shit while and she runs into the back of a cop. You get any car in the world, you're going to run into the back of a cop car. Yeah, there you go. Well, there's certainly
We'll post
Kinky Crimes.
Yeah.
There she is. Michael, I know you like to do.
You want me to do the
What is she on a 1 to 10, Michael?
So she's a solid 7.5, I'd say. It can't feel good, airbag deploying when you're topless as a woman. I mean,
I didn't think about that.
That probably doesn't feel very good.
It doesn't feel good, period. And it usually gets broken noses and stuff, and you're tasting fiberglass for a long time. Well, I can tell them what happens when you're naked.
That's right.
Okay, if there was no damage to the police, let's assume there was damage to the police car here.
Yeah,
but
sure
if there was no damage to the police car, you let her off.
Well, they only charged with DWI, so maybe there wasn't damage. I don't know. No, no. Fuck it if you hit the car. Nowadays, where
See, if Mike was a cop, nobody could be getting
that's
tickets.
why
Well, you got to reward effort. I mean, there's a solid effort
a
there.
class on lookism and how not to show favoritism and not to come up with bullshit society stories on a true crime show.
Those were all crime stories.
Oh, I would like to say
I know you people are with me.
That was Kinky Crimes.
I need some
she
banjos.
was definitely
I need to get
kinky, Woody.
Woody's mind off of this.
Kinky Crimes.
Give me banjos.
Loved it. I see nothing wrong with that.
Right?
Is that even a crime?
I don't even know.
That should be expunged from her record.
Banjos.
I missed my banjos. I'm glad they're back. And we have a couple of idiots to go with those banjos. They're actually brothers, the Gamble brothers, who made a really bad gamble in this particular case. These are brothers from New Jersey. So Anthony, 19, and Joshua, 17, were taken into custody Thursday morning after Pennsylvania state troopers pulled over to check on what they assumed were disabled vehicles on the side of the road. They assumed they were disabled vehicles on the side of the road because they were sitting on the side of the road with their flashers on. The troopers approached a blinking silver Subaru and an Audi just after midnight and found Joshua Gamble laying on the ground in the woods wearing a glove and a bloody shoe. As they detained the younger teen, his brother Anthony ran toward the car wearing blood-stained clothing and carrying gloves. He was also promptly arrested. Troopers then found a dead man's body in the woods near the Audi, which contained blood and a large knife on the passenger side floor. The initial investigation indicated that the unidentified male appeared to have stab wounds around his head, neck, upper chest, and arm. In both cars, the victim and the knife were all found within 100 feet of each other. Oh, man. Investigators are trying to determine the circumstances of the fatal stabbing and figure out why the alleged bumbling killers were across the state line more than 60 miles from where they live. So these idiots, for whatever reason, kill a guy. They decide that they need to do the genius thing and leave New Jersey for Pennsylvania, where they can bury his body, and they want to be safe drivers at the same time. So when they pull over to bury his body, they put their flashers on.
Yeah, that definitely qualifies.
Definitely a dumb criminal.
Yeah,
dumb criminal.
Banjos.
Playing that one.
And look, speaking of banjos, somebody, one of our fans, is going to send us a longer banjo part to that segment because she heard you ask for it.
Well,
Like longer.
Dana, I love you for sending the Christmas ornament banjo. It is. I'm looking forward to putting that in the tree, and I was trying to play it all through the holidays.
There you go.
I appreciate that one.
Very good. And look, we don't have a intro for this segment, sadly, but every now and then we throw in a what I'm watching segment. And I'm watching on Netflix right now a documentary called The Mind of Aaron Hernandez.
I saw that. Yeah.
Y'all, if you haven't had a chance to check it out, of course, Aaron Hernandez, for those that may not be familiar, was a great New England Patriots tight end. He was at the top of his career with a brand new 5-year, $40 million contract and was eventually convicted of killing his girlfriend's sister's boyfriend. Eventually, after that, he killed himself inside of a jail cell. One of the best docs I've seen thus far on Netflix.
You know that they actually tried to come out, his attorney, and I don't know whatever happened with it, said because he was dead that he can no longer be prosecuted for the charges.
Right.
So we have to see how that plays out.
There were pending charges?
Yeah, something else. It was something, and I have to go back and look it up. It's something to do when he killed himself. Oh, because he was on an appeal. He filed appeals on his charges.
Okay.
And they were like, well, we can't deny him his appeal. He didn't have a chance to do it. So they actually moved to have all the charges dismissed.
I mean, unbelievable that a guy who, wins a national championship at Florida with Tim Tebow.
Out of that one, bro.
He's there with Tom Brady and Gronk, and that we played against them Giants in a Super Bowl, but he had all of these good influences around him on the he's playing for Belichick, everything like that. But where he came from and being just pulled back there, I mean, it's a tragic story.
Definite.
It really is. So great show, guys.
Yep. Hey, it was good to be back in.
Sorry for that interruption in the middle where Woody tried to take my very valuable and relevant content.
Ago's News Society show. Look for it on any other podcast but this one, coming to you somewhere soon, I'm sure. So
that's right. Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm objecting.
For real life, Real Crime Daily, peace.
Business.
It can get lonely climbing Mount McKinley, so to entertain myself, I go to ChumbaCasino.com. At Chumba Casino, I can play hundreds of online casino-style games for free, like online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Plus, I get a daily login bonus. It's just too bad that up here, I don't have anyone to share my excitement with. Woohoo!
Live the Chumba life. Anytime, anywhere. Play for free now at ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.